Good morning, everyone. This is Toyin Yumasiri, and I'm super excited to see you here. Tama, I see you. Good morning. Oh, yes, I see you're tagging your friends. Thank you. So, how has your week been? My week, it's Tuesday and it's been busy, right? But one thing I've tried to do is to try and clear my table for Tuesday so I can be here. I know last week I have to apologize. Last week I was kind of in a rush because I had back to back meetings. But this week I've done the right thing to just make sure there are no back to back meetings. So great to be here again. This is Toyin Yumasiri. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you are in the world. So today, I really have a special topic for you. Good morning, Brandine. I hope I said your name really well. Good morning. Where are you? Good morning, Mercy. I see you guys. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. So, one announcement to make is yes, we're going to be here every Tuesday. I'll be here every Tuesday, and I've now locked down a time. So, 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time every Tuesday. And Sheila, good morning, Sheila. Good to see you. So basically, wherever you are in the world, this time, same time, every week, I'll be on here talking about my work. So this is our third edition here, especially on LinkedIn. And last week, I talked about trying to put a structure behind this. So if you remember what I shared last week, my plan is to use the first 10 to 15 minutes to talk about what's on my mind in terms of the topic of the day, and then spend the rest of the hour listening to you, because I know from previous editions that you guys have a lot of questions. So I want to give more time to reviewing your questions, responding to as many questions as I can right here live, and then making sure that the ones I cannot respond to, like I've done previously, I'll just come in and chat with you offline. Okay, so that's the plan. One thing is today is Africa Integration Day. It's a new celebration because of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Those of you that may remember, exactly a year ago, July 7th of 2019, is when the African Continental Free Trade Agreement went into force. So actually, the last 7 days, there's been a lot of celebration within the political space on the continent. Today is the 7th day. I think they had like a 10-day celebration plan, but today is Africa Integration Day. So happy Africa Integration Day. And there's a whole lot of agenda and lots of meetings going on, like with the heads of state, the ministers, and all of them. They've been meeting for the last 1 week. So check that out. Google Africa Integration Day. It's the day that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement was signed into force, creating the world's largest trade bloc. So yay, right? So the topic of today that I have on my mind is talking about retail in Africa. So what are the opportunities in that space, retail in Africa, talking about tariff and non-tariff barriers, and also looking at how do you grow cross-border transactions. So I see we have more people joining us. Mercy from Nigeria joining us. Jim, good morning, Jim. Adebi, good morning. Joge, I hope I said your name well. Good morning. So yes, so the plan is, again, I'll spend the first 10 to 15 minutes talking about what's on my mind in terms of the topic of the day, and then open it up for questions, and I'll try to respond to as many as I can live. Okay? So I hope your week is off to a great start. Again, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on wherever you are. It's 10 a.m. here on the Central Time in Chicago. Okay, so retail in Africa. Wow, whenever we talk about trade and investment, they sound like big words, like trade, investments, and people are like, I don't know how that relates with me. I may not connect with that word. That word is like for the big, it's so big, like trade, international trade, right? Yes, but let me try to distill it down, because one of the things I try to do is to make these conversations real, right? I get pulled into different conversations, with political individuals there and there. I get it. I know how they speak, but let me bring it home. When you talk about trade, trade is simply buying and selling, really much, buying and selling. But one thing I try to educate people on is to consider three markets. Just consider that there are three markets. There's a local market, meaning where you are, whatever city, whichever country you're in, that's your local market inside of your country, right? The rules of the game, how do you buy from your local market, things like that. So there's the local market. Now there's the regional market. So I'm here in North America, right? I'm here in the US. You think regionally, North America, Canada, Mexico, right? That would be regional. In Africa, when you think about the 55 countries, right? Then regional could mean Ghana to Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Cameroon, Nigeria, like South Africa, Rwanda. So all of a sudden regional, because Africa is considered a region, even though from an African Union standpoint, they've also subdivided it to the West African region, South African, East African, just to make it more manageable. And each of those regions as well, they've created rules of the game, right? ECOWAS, the COMESA, they have all these regional integration efforts that is going on the continent. Yes, that is all great, right? But under the Continental Free Trade Agreement, they've now expanded beyond just West Africa, South Africa, East Africa to say Africa. And that, again, today is the Africa Integration Day. I shared that earlier if you're just joining us. So basically, think about, again, local market, what's going on within your country, the regional, what's happening next door to you, right? And then global, right? Not just within your region, but when you start transacting UK, Europe, you just start expanding China, India, Vietnam. When you start, Latin America, you start expanding your reach. So if you're a business person, you then have to start thinking, where are you playing right now? Are you playing only in the local market? Are you expanding regionally? Are you going global? So think of the work you're doing within that. And I know we also have people that are tasked, they work for the government, and their role is to grow trade, right? So I'll talk a little bit about that as well in terms of what you could do if you're more of a service provider, like you're supposed to be playing a role of a trade facilitator. I'll tell you more what you can do there. But anyway, if you're a business person, think about, are you dealing just locally within the US or within your country, wherever you are? Or are you expanding your business regionally? If you're in the US, you say Canada, Mexico, right? Or are you going beyond your region to say China, India, right? So those are some of the things I try to talk about. So in the context of retail in Africa, Africa has to grow its local retail landscape. Excuse me. Africa has to develop more sophisticated retail solutions within its borders. So Ghana, what's happening in retail in Ghana? How sophisticated is it? Because one of the more mature landscape on the continent is actually the informal sector, what we call informal sector. It's like people are just crossing borders, nobody's tracking what, people are going to the local market where women actually dominate that space on the continent in terms of the informal sector. And I try to tell people, if you want to formalize the informal sector, you better bring the women in. As long as you have people, sitting in closed room and doing this and signing that, and you're not engaging, like in Nigeria, we call them like Iyaloja, like the women of the market. If you don't sensitize them and you don't engage them, they are the ones importing, they are the ones distributing, they are the ones with the trailers. They understand the African informal sector more than anything. So sometimes I laugh when I'm in some meetings and people are like pushing paper, like, oh yeah, we're doing this, we're doing that. I'm like, oh yeah. you don't, the person really running the show in Kutoni border. It's not, that person is not in this meeting. So what are you going to do? Anyway, that's a side note. So within the retail space, you need to start thinking, okay, what can I do? If you're in Ghana, what should I be doing retail wise? E-commerce, what should I be doing? How do I make sure my goods and services, or my goods, let's just think about goods right now. How do I distribute it within Ghana effectively, efficiently? Yes. How do I expand beyond just Ghana? With the power of technology, we are all engaging right now, right, from all over the world. If I want to sell something to you, which I do want to sell, I need to do a shout out to my own products one someday. But anyway, buying and selling, barriers have been broken down. And that's why I will talk about tariff and non tariff barriers. Because a lot of times, people don't know what the opportunities are. People don't know how to take advantage of the opportunity, and it could simply be due to lack of knowledge. So, in the context of when we say tariff and non tariff barriers, what happens is when you're trying to cross a border, you're trying to go into new territory. Hi, Rich. My aunt, yes, Ghana. Yes, yes, of course, Ghana. Come on. Yes, Ghana is one of the leading country. You want me to say that, right? You want me to pitch you against Nigeria and say, is it Ghana Jollof or Nigerian Jollof? Rich. Yeah, yes, I know. Anyway, there's for those that do not know the rivalry that happens when it comes to food rivalry between Ghana and Nigeria. Let me clue you in. There's a food called jollof rice, and some people say Ghana makes it better, and Nigeria says they make it better. But when you now pitch the population of 200 million Nigerians on online saying my jollof is the best, you know. Anyway, hi Kenya, I see you. Hi James from Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for joining. But anyway, back to what I was talking about: tariff and non-tariff barriers in the context of retail, in moving goods locally, moving from local to regional. You're going to be crossing country, you're going to be crossing territories, right? So that introduces the market you're trying to go into, saying, hey, we need to protect our local market, so we are going to raise a barrier against you, 10%, 15%, 30%, whatever it is. I mean, those tariffs are not across board. It depends on what you're trying to bring in and what's going on in the local market and the priority of the political people in terms of what's their top priority items that they want to develop locally. So tariff barrier is saying, hey, we're going to raise a barrier, so that when you do come here and compete, we want to level the playing field, or we want our local market to do better than you. Most of the time, people will look at the numbers. If you crunch the numbers and you say, okay, if they add on 15%, and I had on all my operating, shipping, and everything cost, I'm still going to make money over the next 5 years. Oh, charge me 15%. I don't mind. Your market is big enough for me, right? So you have to do the numbers first. It has to make sense. You don't just say, oh, I want to go to a new market just because. Just because is why you're going to waste your money. So you need to do like a lot of cost benefit analysis. You need to project, when are you going to get your return on your investment? Because going into a new market is going to cost you. I mean, to my African brothers that we've been working on, getting into the US market, it is expensive to go to new markets. So be ready for that. But anyway, so tariff barriers are they're the simple ones, right? You just find, well, how much do you want to charge me? Yes, yes, yes. We do the paperwork, you're done. Well, there are also opportunities like under AGOA, and I've talked about that in the past. So today is not about AGOA, but anyway, that's tariff barriers. There are some opportunities for you to take advantage that barrier could lower as well. Now, in my opinion, the biggest barrier that Africa has are non-tariff barriers, and they are the most craziest thing. Number one, lack of information. Like the number one barrier, the non-tariff barrier, I would say number one, you would not guess, is lack of information. Where do you find who is selling what? Who is helping you? Who is shipping? Who can do this? How do you do this? So for example, if you're going into Nigeria with something like food or drug, they have NAFTA. The process is lengthy. If you're coming to the US, you have FDA, Food Drug Administration, right? Those are non-tariff barriers. These are standards that says you are welcome after you cross the non-tariff barrier. You're welcome to come into our market. But guess what? We have our standards. We're not lowering these standards for you. You go figure out how to meet our standards. We're not going to teach you. You go figure it out, right? So the non-tariff barriers are massive. Lack of information, lack of a network. So for me, the work that we do at Nazaru is trying to reduce those barriers. So, for example, we have our own trade community. Just this morning, right? Tama, can I mention your name? She's like, hey, someone I met on your platform, we're talking about this, we're talking about. I said, yes, that's why I created this community. Because if you're trying to go from local to global, you cannot run with the same mindset, with the same information, with the same way you think you transact in your local market, that you can just show up and say, hey, I want to buy, I want to sell. Nobody's dealing, right? So for me, part of my commitment to you all is now bringing together and growing a community so that if you have any questions, you can come to us, we can help you, we can serve you. We've also created like coaching programs where we guide you, because it's a journey. If you're going to start a business, if you're going to import, if you're going to export, it doesn't happen overnight. Like I told someone yesterday that is like, oh, I want to do this. I was like, I hear everything you want to do. It's a journey. Are you ready for that journey? Right? Like we have our own product. So let me do my pitch now. Here's my beauty brand, Omoba Beauty brand. You know, I also have my own product. So as I'm walking people through, I'm not just talking theoretical, because a lot of people will tell you, oh, trade and investment. You need to start asking them, show us what you've done. you know, show me the money. Like, where, show me what you've done. Right? Because there's a lot of, and that's one of the things, maybe a little bit of my own, little bit of frustration is the fact that 20, 30 years, people have been talking about Africa, trade, Africa rising, this. I'm like, yeah, enough of, let's get to work, right? Let's do the work that is needed, right? Let's work together. Let's figure that out. So anyway, I've done a video in the past in terms of what I'm saying, but tariff and non-tariff barrier is tariff. It's the sim. I think it's the list of your worries in terms of tariff. The non-tariff barriers, I think, in my opinion, they are really the showstoppers for African exporters, Africa's businesses trying to go regional or go global. It's, you don't know what you don't know. So it's so important to get into the community like ours, to connect, to get coaches, to get, and it's back to, last week I talked about the trade facilitation masterclass that I'm teaching. Thank you to everybody that has applied for it, because it's designed for specific types of people. So we've we've received overwhelming kind of like application, enough that I'm finding I have to break it down into multiple classes, maybe for the rest of the year. So it's almost going to be like a waiting list and all of that. Here's what's going on. The stakeholders, like you fall into this category of, one, you're employed by your government, you're sitting in a ministry, you have a job title that says investments officer, trade officer, XYZ. Great. There are people in associations, chambers of commerce, all over. Your job is to bring stakeholders together and get them to trade and start working with each other. Great. There are some of you that you're listening in, you're saying, how do I grow a business? How do I pivot? How do I explore, towing? What are the opportunities? Great. I've mapped out all the stakeholders that have been talking to us for years. But here's what I am seeing consistently across board is that we all need to step up our game in terms of expertise, in terms of knowledge, in terms of the sophistication with which we approach our work. Because the global market is not lowering its standard for you. You have to step up. You have to rise up. You have to acquire knowledge. You have to grow a strong network. You have to be more effective in delivering whatever it is you're trying to do. And that's one of the things that led me to say, okay, I'm going to kind of stick my neck out there and say, hey, guys, trade facilitation, let me start teaching you step by step, in terms of how you can better do your job, how you can better, partner, how you can find investors, how you can bring people together. Because you have to go find buyer, you have to go find sellers, you have to bring the financing piece together, you have to monitor that relationship. Because I told you last week, if you step out of the middle and say, oh, I've made the introduction, they should be fine. No, they're not fine. You, as the trade facilitator, must walk them through. Because remember, both sides are trying to fight for themselves, but it's up to you to design the win-win-win. So anyway, I think I took more than my 15 minutes of talking today. So I want to see what's on your mind. I'm going to scroll up. I see questions, so I want to address that now. So if you have any questions, just drop your question in the chat box. Let us know where you're at, and then I'll respond to it. Okay. So I'm going. Whenever I look towards this direction, I'm actually looking at the chat area. Okay. So I'm scrolling up right now. Let's see. Okay, somebody said, give me the website. I'm not sure which website. So, Messi, you said, give me the website. We have different, I hope I've not confused people, but we have different products, services, communities, events that we lead. So let me just share a little bit about. We host the annual Trade with Africa Business Summit, where we convene and bring together political leaders, business leaders, service providers. We bring them all together. This year, we're launching the Trade with Africa framework, which covers investment areas and investment pillars and trade opportunities. So agriculture, retail, manufacturing, infrastructure development. Because a lot of times people just say trade and investment, and then people say, what does it mean? What can I do? Where should I be planning? So for us, after doing this for a few years, what we want to do is narrow the focus, help people understand what the opportunities are, the solution, and then showcase people that are doing what. That way you can take the lessons back. And the website for that is www.twasummit.com. That's T for trade, W for with Africa. So Trade with Africa Summit, twasummit.com. We also have a trade community. So one of the things that also happen is people reach out, people connect, and I'm going, hey, if you want to start this journey, I know you're going to be on that journey it's a journey of a lifetime. If you're trying to build a business, anybody in the business world know it's a journey of a lifetime. You don't just start and stop and start. So what we've done is we've created a community. That's www.nazaru.trade. And the community is growing really fast. Organically, it's over 200 people from all over the world right now, and it's growing every single day. Of people where when you go into that community, you talk about what are your priorities. Are you looking for buyer? Are you looking for seller? Are you looking for what are you doing and what are you trying to accomplish? That's actually the platform where we're hosting our Trade with Africa this year because of COVID-19. And then we also have other things we do. So on this screen right now, where's my right hand? Okay. On this screen, you see www.nazaru.com as well, where we have so many other services based on what we've heard from you that you're trying to accomplish. One size doesn't fit all, right? So I hope that helps. If you go to www.nazaru.com, it will lead you to everything else that we do. I promise. Okay. James, thank you. Yes, I think this is powerful as well. Let's see. Anna said, good morning from Washington, D.C. Thank you. Thank you for being, somebody's got to do this work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hope that everyone is well. Yes, everyone is well. My name is Anna and our organization, you work on Sustainable Project. Okay, great. Great to see you from Washington, D.C. One of the things I tell people in D.C., get out of that bubble. Washington is a bubble where you're so immersed in this particular in some type of conversation, but when you move into the business world, in terms of it's if you're part of trade and investment, what I try to say is, especially in America, is trade happens outside DC, right? The real trade, the real engagement. When you think about Michigan with automotive industry, think about California with technology, think about Idaho, potato, like agriculture. So for us, when you say the opportunities and the trade and investment opportunities with Africa, we are actually looking at the economic zones within US as well. So thank you for joining. Please send your okay. I'm trying to go through these questions. Please be as precise. So if you're asking a question, be as precise. Just go to the question. This is my question. That way, when I read it out, it reads really well and I can respond quickly. And I see there are chats happening. Okay. I see. Okay, I'm going to skip scrolling because I see there are conversations happening within the audience. I don't want to interrupt that. Okay. As African countries adapt to the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, how can we anticipate them changing the specificity of their schedule under the WTO? Here's what I would say. Right now, today being, and that question is from Sohala King. Thank you for that question. What I would say is today is Africa Integration Day, which is a celebration of the Continental Free Trade Agreement. It's going to be an annual celebration. So all the quote and unquote big guys, they've been in meetings and nice celebrations for the last 7 days, right? What I would like to say is they've done their part in terms of the political, establishing that policy. What it now requires to be effective is between you and I. Like it's going to take the facilitators, the negotiators, the buyers, the seller to actually take the letter of the law and translate it into running transactions. So for me, I do not wait and say, hey, when are they going to do XYZ? When are they? There is no day. They've done their own and they're happy and they've given themselves. I mean, even us, we've celebrated them. Like last year, we gave the ambassador in charge of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. I was so honored to have given him the Champion of Trade Award last year. So you need to celebrate them and say, yes, they've done it. Now, the question is, what are you going to do with what they've done? Because from a political standpoint, they've already accomplished their political win. Check, 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 check. They've done what people have said cannot be done. So politically, they look good. Now, business-wise, that's the next question. The business community. I know there's Afro champions. Excuse me. How many people are familiar with Afro champions? You need to look them up. So now the question is, how would the business community mobilize itself behind the Continental Free Trade Agreement and start going through the fine print and interpreting what it means to them, to their own business? If you're sitting in Nigeria and someone in Egypt is bringing goods to your country, what does it mean to your business? No political person is going to answer that for you. You have to build a strategy, right? So business leaders now need to start developing strategies to protect their market, strategies to penetrate another market, strategies to grow. As the continent grows, you have to build your strategy to grow. So if you are on this, live show and you're sitting down, don't sit down. The people that would win, they are already designing their strategy. The people that will be here 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now and winning and owning the market, they are behind in their room designing what they're going to do right now. So for you, I would just say, don't wait. Don't wait for anybody. I think I've shared a story before about Vietnam. One of my mentors, who was part of transforming Vietnam into what it is today, she told me, she said, Tony, everything you're telling me about Africa today is where we were 15 years ago. But today, the market now is closed. Anybody looking to enter our market would really work harder. But 15 years ago, we were begging people to come and invest. We were pleading with them. We will do this concession. We will do this for you. As a God, we will do this for you. We were begging people to come and invest in Vietnam. The people who took the risk, the people who listened to us, they are now the millionaires, billionaires in Vietnam. They now own the Vietnam market. She was like, so go to Africa. She was like, don't worry. All the opportunity, everything you're talking about now, they are opportunities, and those opportunities are not going to be there forever. Okay, so if you're on this chat, please, I hope I'm just my biggest. If my hour with you makes you do something productive with yourself, then for me, it's well worth it. But if I spend this hour engaging with everybody here, and you go and I go, and nothing changes, then trust me, I've just wasted my time. I don't want that. I respect your time. I respect my time. So the reason I'm sharing all of this information is I'm saying we don't wait for anybody. We need to start figuring this out ourselves. Nobody's going to do that work for us. The political elites, they've done what they can do. the best they can do. But because I've seen the same thing happen with AGOA, remember AGOA that I talked about before? African Growth and Opportunity Act has existed on the book for 20 years in America. And what it does is zero tariff barrier for African products coming into the US market. No tariff barriers. Zero. But how many people on this line has used AGOA before? So I have said it's not enough to have a legal structure on paper. If you don't sensitize the business community and get behind it and work to effective and use it, then it's sitting on paper, right? So anyway, I know it's a long answer to a simple question, but there's more to it, right? This is great. Thank you, Oindesola. Thank you. I would love to know how your platform could showcase offerings along services like data processing, analysis, and non-voice outsourcing from Nigeria. So, Ms. Mokpe Abudu, so I'm assuming you are trying to bring your brand, bring your services to the global market, right? A lot of times people say they want that, but the reality is you need to figure out like a marketing strategy, a branding strategy that allows you to effectively communicate to the people you are trying to communicate to. So locally, people may recognize your services, right? The data processing, analysis, and voice outsourcing that you're talking about. But you now have to map out who are the stakeholders you're trying to target. How are you going to message and communicate with them? And then how do you bring your product in front of them? So that's what I would say you need to do. On our side, what we have done is we've built platforms that have global reach, right? We've built trust on the market. We've built a brand in the market with our platform, whether in Trade with Africa Business Summit or our trade platform that we keep building every day, or our website, or my work with African Continental Free Trade Agreement, Afreximbank, or the African Union. The reason I built it in such a way is so that we can now provide services to people like you, because one of the things we've realized is that we need to shine light. We need to put a spotlight on people doing incredibly amazing things, because the Western media is not doing it for Africa. In fact, like I shared before, I think the first episode I talked about, the media is going to always be behind covering business opportunities in Africa, because it's like they can't just change overnight. They've always been covering, oh, Africa is poor, Africa is this, Africa is that, Africa is this. That's what they've always done for 20, 30 years, even more. For them to now wake up overnight and say, oh, wait, we were wrong. No. Africa is the next economic frontier. Oh, by 2050, Africa is going to be the workforce of the world. Oh, the youth workforce is growing on they are not ready to do that. They are not ready to toot your horns for you. The Western media is not ready to celebrate Africa's achievements. How many Western media have talked about the Continental Free Trade Agreement, which has created the world's largest trade bloc? If there's nothing bigger than that. But as the Western media covered it, good luck. But guess what? Don't wait for that. We can't wait for that. So we've created our own platform. We're celebrating our innovators. We're celebrating our leaders ourselves. And we're doing the work that needs to happen. And we're bringing people together and we're sharing. Even on that note, yesterday, we actually launched a new newsletter on LinkedIn. It's a feature that, it's like this top secret feature that we were able to, get pulled into, which was like, very kind of LinkedIn. But it's a newsletter. So every week, I'll also be using that platform to share more market insights and market information. So for me, I'm doing my part. In fact, we're becoming our own media company as well. Okay, Trade with Africa. Christina said Trade with Africa Summit is brilliant from London, UK. Yes, thank you. We keep growing it, not just for us, but for people like yourself as well. Okay, let me keep scrolling. Hello, Amadou said hello, sharp madam. Okay, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. And Anna says, okay, you were talking to Fidelis, connecting. Okay, Toyin, Amadou says, Toyin, do you work with NGOs and do you offer mentoring, and to what extent? So, in terms of NGO, it depends on what you're looking for. So I'm not an NGO, right? So the work that we do is not funded by the government. So this is more of a value exchange. If you value what it is we're bringing to you, and what we're bringing to you is going to help you make money, that's really what we are doing. Is we're helping you position to win globally. We're helping you to prepare to attract the right stakeholders to help grow your business. Because today, if you're playing so little, you're playing, are you playing in a small pond and you're now trying to move, to the big sea with the big fishes? You have to do it strategically because, big fish can eat small fish any day. It happens in real life. So, what we do at Nazaru is to support those who want to go global, who want to also go regional, and start enabling them and equipping them with the right information, the right strategies, the right network to start expanding their reach and their impact. So, from an NGO standpoint, a lot of times, you know, NGO in US is different from NGO anywhere else. NGO in America is big business. It's just another form of big business in America. So NGO has funds, they have expenses, they have staff members, they are paying, they are fully funded. So guess what? If they have expenses, then they can bring us on as an expense as well, and definitely we can help them grow. So not a problem. We can work with NGOs. But if the term NGO means do I offer free services, what I would say is I make myself available like this platform. We share lots of content on our YouTube. We invest time and resources in educating people big time. That's the extent that we have the capacity to reach. So we reach people free for those that are serious. But in terms of my time and our time and the work we do, we offer coaching, paid coaching. We offer classes, paid master classes, because what we're saying is you're going to improve your performance. You're going to be able to make more money. You're going to be able to grow your business. And the reality is that in the world of business, unless your government is funding you to do that, nobody's coming to do that for you. You have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in your business. If you want to perform at a higher level, then you have to start operating at a higher level. You have to start engaging at a higher level. You can spend the next 5 years figuring out what it took other people to do it, or you can apply wisdom and say, hey, can I get a coach like Toyin to walk me through and help me quickly get up to speed? So that's how I will respond to that question, to say, yes, we offer services, we offer coaching. And like I said before, I'm now offering the trade facilitation masterclass, because as the number of transactions grow on the continent that we're saying trade with Africa, what I'm finding is that we don't have enough savvy, should I say technocrats, like savvy people that can take a transaction, that can work with people, bring them together, get the ball rolling. In terms of when you look at the wheel of trade and investments, like how do you get it rolling? And I'm saying it takes people, it takes expertise, it takes understanding, it takes a global mindset to get that going. And that's one thing that I'm humbled to be able to do it and provide those services as well. So that's it. Any more questions today? So again, today we covered retail in Africa. Remember what I talked about retail. Think about it as, how do you grow your retail in your local market? So wherever you are right now, even before you think about exporting, think about the market you're in. Ghana, Nigeria, right? Depending on the size, Kenya. Ask yourself, what are goods and services being moved right now in my local market? And how can I engage? What opportunities do I have to provide a service or to insert a product into that supply chain? Okay, again, how do I provide a service or how do I insert my own product into that supply chain and help and let it move smoothly? One of the things that I've seen that is majorly different from a sophisticated market to a non-sophisticated market is that there are value streams, and in that supply chain value stream, industries emerge, right? So, for example, shipping, all of a sudden you have shipping companies emerge. That's a service that you can provide to help bring products from the farm to the market access, right? You could have branding, marketing, distribution services. So from a distribution standpoint, I hope when we were all maybe in primary school or high school, whatever, wherever you're, whatever they call it, they talked about you have the manufacturer, you have the distributor, and you have the retailer. That applies, right? Sometimes you can be disruptive and remove the middleman, which is the distributor, and just go straight to the retailer. Or today with technology, even the manufacturer is going straight to the consumers as well. But think about it. In that distributor chain, you can play a role. You're not the manufacturer, you're not the retailer. All you're trying to do is, create an opportunity to buy in bulk and sell in bulk. That's a business model. That's a business opportunity right there. Check your local market and see what's going on, and then ask yourself, what can you do and how can you engage? Now, the same thing happens regional. When with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, as you're going regional, you now start seeing more opportunities. In fact, you now have an opportunity to even specialize on a country. Pick a country. If you're in Nigeria, just decide, you know what, I want to be an expert on Egypt. So all of a sudden, you can start offering your service to people in Nigeria and say, hey, I can help you distribute your products in Egypt. The person will be like, really? I say, yeah, don't worry. Don't worry, you're not going to do anything. I'll do the work for you. Guess what? If you've built a strong network in Egypt, all of a sudden you'll just be passing opportunities to them. So I'm telling you, African Continental Free Trade Agreement opens opportunities to everybody, the youth, everybody. But we have to start thinking creatively to say, okay, what does that opportunity look like? Toyin, tell me more, right? So those are some of the things we are now sharing to say, let's remove the complexity when it comes to the conversation around trade and investment. Yes, I'm good with talking about complexity. In fact, I used to manage very highly complex solutions, for the world's biggest, right? So I feel very comfortable with complexities. But what I have found the last couple of years is not everybody is there yet. We have to help grow that team. We have to share information. We have to carry people along. We have to coach people. We have to teach people. We have to support people. We have to create communities. And that's the work. That's what we're doing right now, to support you. Now, I'm not going to do your work for you. Meaning we can build all of that with the work that we do. Like when we coach you, we'll bring you what you need to be successful, but you have to be committed to go on your journey, right? So that's what we ask for on your side, is your commitment. It's for you, it's for your generation, it's for your kids. It's, we provide services to help you move faster, to move exponentially. So in terms of what it might take you 5-10 years to accomplish with the right knowledge, with the right network, we reduce those barriers to entry for you, whether you're coming into the US bringing your product or you're trying to go to a new country. So that's it for today. If there are no other questions, let me just see one more time. Answering what? Okay, I think there are some conversations going. Maybe I've missed it, but if you have a question, please drop it But other than that, that's it for today. There's a lot going on, but let me just recap some of the things we can offer. We're having the Trade with Africa Business Summit. It's in its third year. This year it's going to be virtual, a virtual experience. We're having it and hosting it on our virtual platform, the trade platform, where you can create your own digital ID, right? So you create you put your picture, just like you would do on LinkedIn. You create your profile, you put a summary of what it is you do. People can actually search for you by your location, by your expertise, by your profession. You can tell people what you're looking for, what you're trying to accomplish. So that platform allows you to do that. Now, if you want to upgrade into our coaching line, where every month we're going to be having like coaching and one-on-one coaching as well, that's something we are now supporting people, because again, people have so many questions on their mind. So on that note, thank you for joining me today. I'm growing to love this. So such an honor. Thank you again, and I'll stay after this. After I cut off the live feed, I'll still go back through those questions and respond and connect with you individually. But if you need to reach me, I'm Toyin Umesiri. If you need any of our products or services, it's info at nazaru.com. Again, info at nazaru.com. And if you're in the US trying to export your products to the continent, you could tap into some of our network as well. So thank you so much, Sohaya King. Thank you. No, thank you for. I know there's so many other things you guys all could be doing today, but thank you for choosing to spend your time with me. And I hope that some little of the information I shared today would be of help to you on your own journey. So take care. God bless. Have a wonderful rest of